Welcome back. So let's talk a little bit about response status codes inside HTTP. Now, you might ask yourself, why does he keep talking about HTTP? Isn't this supposed to be like building a backend? It is, but it's very important you understand that the way we communicate, and right here, since we focus on the web API, the most important thing to understand is the web API's job is to take HTTP requests, convert them into C#, we'll do some work with the C# code, convert them back to an HTTP response. That's the job of the web API, and that's why the focus is HTTP request response right here. Now, what if we want to do a specific response code? I've changed my code a little bit. Let's have a look. I just right now went in and said, if we do a GET request, I'll just return null. If we do a POST request, I'll just throw an exception, just to show you that out of the box, you'll actually get different response codes depending on your system. So in this case, what will happen is, even though I didn't put any response code in here myself, it'll actually return a no content right here, and it'll return a error right here, a 500 error right here. Let me try and show you by setting up these things right here. Let's find Swagger again. First we'll do the GET request. I'll try it out. I'll do an execute. And now what you'll see is we're getting back a 204 code, which is actually a success. But let's have a look what 204 is all about. We'll just go to status codes, see if we can find 204. It means no content. Notice I didn't put in that no content. It's because the framework automatically says, the .NET Web API automatically says, if you return null, you probably want a no content, a 204, returned to you. Now we can control that ourselves, and I'll show you this lesson how we do that. Another thing I want to show you is, if I try to do the post now, that throws an exception. Let's try and do a post and just execute this. You'll get an exception back, but notice it's actually not a 200 code anymore, it's a 500 code, meaning that something went wrong. We got an error. It says, rah! That's the error right here because I made it. So that's actually a way for you to see that what you're doing matters depending on what I expect to get back, right? So in the case of something going wrong, it would be nice for me to get a precise code back from you explaining what went wrong. And it's very important not to get something like this, a huge stack trace, because that's kind of a bad thing to do, because security-wise, now people would know that you have a video controller, okay. They probably also know that you're using the .NET framework, and they know a lot about your actual code right here just by reading this stack trace right here. So we need to figure out how we can make our own return status codes where we decide exactly what's going to be returned from the backend. Let's start with just figuring out how we can just return a simple status code right here on our own. I'll just get rid of all this noise right here because we of course don't want to do this right now. First thing you need to learn about is an action result. The action result is something that's already pre-built for us in the controller base. So we don't have to make that ourselves. What I'll do is I'll say, instead of returning just a list of videos, I'm going to return an action result. And here what I'm going to put in is just action result, and again it's pre-built for you, so you don't have to do anything yourself. I'll put in the upper lower right here, and I'll paste in that it's going to contain in the body of the response a list of videos. So now we have an action result with a list of videos in here. Now what I can do is I can wrap this, again out of the box it'll be the same result as last time, but I can now actually wrap this and say, okay, this is going to be an OK action result. And there are actually a lot of pre-built action results for you. So the OK will of course return a status code of 200. That is just an OK, right? Now the cool thing is, if I want to, I could actually also change this into actually sending back any status code I want. So let's say I wanted to return a 203, comma, and then I can return the actual value right here. Now what is a 203? I really don't know that actually. So let's go and check it out. What's a 203? It's non-authoritative information. We can live with that, just for the fun of it. But the point is, you can put in any status code now you want. So it's now, instead of letting the framework decide the status code, with the action result, you can decide the status code. And there's a lot, again, to pick from that's pre-built for you. I picked the status code right here, but if we go through this list right here, I just control-click the actual object right here. You can see there's a lot of different ones you can pick from. And there's, for instance, bad request. There is, you can go and check it out yourself. And let me try and find some examples for you. You can send back content. That would probably mean that it was some HTML or something. You can send back a no content. Okay. You can send back unauthorized. You can send back not found. That's a 404. Bad request. That's also a 440. What's a bad request? Oh man, I should remember those. Bad request 400. Yeah, so you have all these different response types now that you can give whoever uses your backend, and it's extremely important you start using them. Don't just work with the basic built-in ones that Microsoft give you out of the box. It's really important that you yourself start creating your own status code responses, either by using this status code or just learning the ones that's already pre-built for you, like the OK one right here. With the create, for instance, I know there's actually a status code for that, so let's try and find the create one. It's 201. So let's see if there's actually one here called created, and there is. Yoink, we just put that in there. So it seems it needs something more than just the object itself. Let's mouse over and see what it wants. Oh, it needs, yeah, I know it needs a URI in front of it, meaning that it wants the link to be returned, so we know exactly where we can go when the video is created. So let's just hard-code it for now. I'm just going to put this in as a hard-coded value. This is of course not something you should do, but that's what I'm going to do for now. And with the hard-coded value right here, if I put in the $, I can just put in curly brackets and actually, let's just do this in a two-liner. There we go. I'll put in the video right here, var new video like this, equals, I'll just get that video, and now I can actually just add the video's ID right here. There we go. And then pass in the video itself like this. And I'll do a slash. It still complains, and if I mouse over, you'll see I made one final flaw, and that is actually I didn't wrap this in an action result, and again it cannot return the created is an action result, so I need to explain that what I'm returning is an action result like this, and there we go. Now I'll get back actually both the video and a URL I can use to go directly to the video later on. So this is how it looks, and just to show you, let's actually run this again, and I'll just restart the server one final time, and now I'll show you guys how this can now provide ways for us to actually get back the information that we want. So in the future, start using action results everywhere inside your web API. Don't just return the video itself or the list of videos, return an action result that wraps the video so you can decide the codes. And especially when we go further into this, we can start deciding exceptions also when something goes horribly bad on our server, or we can throw exceptions when people are sending bad requests to us from the front end. Let's just try and check this out now. I'll just do a quick execute here again. And now you'll notice I'm getting back a created 201 instead of the 200 as before. And not only that, you can actually see the URL right here that I just passed in there with the right ID. So if I go and create another one, I get a new URL where it has the ID of 2 now because that's the video I created.